Welcome to the Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, which a long time ago I had the privilege to chair and to serve with these fellows and with a guy named Tom Carper that was, I think, your predecessor, if I'm not mistaken. And we have a tradition of being a bipartisan committee, and we don't see enough of that in the House and the Senate these days, especially in the House. But hopefully you'll see it here today. But I want to thank our distinguished nominees for being here this morning, for your willingness to serve on the D.C. Superior Court. I'm a recovering governor. There are another recovering governors. My colleagues would say not really recovered. And in our state and a lot of states, governors nominate people to serve on a variety of courts. That's true in Delaware. And we have advisory committees that, recommend people for us. But at the end of the day, in Delaware, the Senate ends up taking the handoff from the governors, and it's a pretty good approach. And we try to do it in a bipartisan way. We try to do it in a way that we don't waste time and that we don't leave the people of Delaware without the kind of judiciary that's needed to help people in their lives, businesses in their lives, and so forth. So I sort of kind of at today's hearing with that in mind. But every time this committee holds a hearing on D.C. Judicial nominees, my colleagues hear me share my concern with extensive judicial vacancies on local D.C. courts. These concerns persist to this day because too many vacancies still plague the district courts. Last month, the chief judges of both the D.C. Superior Court and the Court of Appeals sent an open letter to the U.S. Senate urging us to immediately fill the vacancies on both courts. And despite judicial nominees regularly passing out of this committee, many with bipartisan support, as I said earlier, there's frequently still a months-long delay before they are confirmed on the Senate floor itself. And as my colleagues have heard me say more than a few times, justice delayed is justice denied. Currently, there are 6 nominees to the D.C. Superior Court that are still awaiting a vote on the Senate floor who have passed out of this committee, and I'm glad that Senator Schumer has filed cloture on 2 of those nominees and that these nominees could be confirmed as soon as this week. Hallelujah. And with that said, only one D.C. judicial nominee has been confirmed this entire Congress. I think that's disgraceful. I think that's really disgraceful. And it's unacceptable that the local D.C. courts have vacancies that last years because the Senate fails to act in a timely way. The system is, if it's as it stands, is not working. We need to reform it. I introduced, as some of you know, D.C. Courts Judicial Vacancy Reduction Act to do just that by applying a 60-day congressional review period to D.C. judicial nominees to streamline this nomination process. Faster confirmation process in the U.S. Senate would help with the vacancy crisis and better equip the local courts here to serve the people of the District of Columbia. It's with this in mind that I would move into my questions for the nominees. First question, again, going back to the time I served as governor of Delaware, considering potential candidates to serve on Delaware's highly regarded Supreme Court and Court of Chancery, I look for a number of characteristics or attributes. I was always interested in sound moral character. I was interested in nominees with a complete knowledge of the law, a willingness to listen to both sides of an argument, judicial temperament, and the ability to make difficult decisions with sound reasoning. Could each of you please take a minute to discuss the importance of having these attributes as a judge and how, if confirmed, you would bring these qualities to the District of Columbia Superior Court as an associate judge? Is it Beatty? Beatty-Arthur. Ms. Beatty-Arthur, please.
Pushing the button. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's critical what you're describing. We spent a lot of time today talking about the backlog, but still being a good judge and full of the appropriate demeanor and character is essential. I think that when I think about for example, my judicial philosophy, it needs to be at the forefront that everyone deserves an opportunity to be heard. But important with that is the ability to objectively apply the law to the facts and to run a courtroom with dignity and respect. Also, another idea that is important to be mindful of is that a lot of the people that appear in front of us are pro se. It is important to be able to use plain language. It is to be able to understand how they arrive at the court. So I think all of those attributes are critical to be a good judicial officer.
Great, thank you for that. Ms. Bouchet?
Yes. My judicial philosophy is grounded in the principles of fundamental fairness, judicial integrity, neutrality, affording the parties who appear before me a fair opportunity to be heard, to make their arguments, to also apply the law faithfully and objectively to their cases, and to render timely decisions. When parties appear before me who are unrepresented, I take the time to make sure that they are aware of the legal resources that are available to them so that they can make sound legal decisions, as I am unable to provide counsel to them. Thank you.
Thanks for those comments. Ms. Johnston?
Senator, to me, the proper role of a judge is to faithfully apply the law to the specific facts at hand and to make sure to always do so with a dedication to the rule of law, with an open mind and impartiality, and with dignity and respect for all of the parties involved in the litigation process.
Good, thanks. Mr. McKenzie?
Thank you, Senator. I think all of those attributes that you mentioned in the lead-up of your question are key. People come to court because they can't settle disputes or they've gotten into some sort of trouble, but they need to be recognized as humans and as people deserving of respect. And I think judges being able to do that is very important.
Thank you. Mr. Truong?
Thank you, Senator. I share my fellow nominees' insightful observations. I would like to add that if confirmed as a judge, I will commit to the ideals of impartiality, the ideals of fairness, and I will approach each case with an open mind without prejudgment. And I believe that should undergird the ideals of judicial philosophy.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I would just, if I could have 10 more seconds. I'll never forget a conversation I had with one of my people I was interviewing for a judgeship in Delaware a long time ago. And he invoked the golden rule. You know, he said one of their jobs of a judge is to make sure that that judge, he or she, treat other people in the courtroom the way they'd want to be treated. And I think for me, when I'm trying to figure out what to do, I usually default to the golden rule, and I think in this case it's a pretty good guide as well. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. And my thanks to all of you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you, Senator.